This is Phoebe Green and the Locker of Destiny. We're on chapter 18, The Truth Yurts. Ah, Katie, Miss Parsley said. Do take a seat. It's Phoebe, Phoebe replied. Miss Parsley wore her trademark green suit and oversized black-rimmed glasses. Her hair, as ever, looked solid like Lego. She leaned forward and rested her chin on interlocked fingers. Of course, Phoebe, how are you getting on? Phoebe didn't know where to start. She had, however, been in this room enough times to know where not to start, the truth. Every time she told one of the teachers about 2025, she was looked at with pity, indifference, or fury. I'm fine, thanks, Phoebe said, squirming inside. Honesty was almost an addiction for Phoebe, so it felt strange and unfamiliar to lie. How wonderful, Miss Parsley said, because you will recall that in your first few weeks at Perivale, you were struggling with bad dreams and homesickness. Have those gone away? Phoebe nodded. The truth was, it was difficult to sleep for long enough to dream. At night, complicated thoughts tumbled around her head like socks in a washing machine. Recently, she had been thinking about future Phoebe. When she climbed into the locker on that first night in Perivale, did life continue after she disappeared into the past? Did the matron race downstairs to call the police, waking up Phoebe's mum in the dead of night to say, "I'm afraid your daughter's disappeared in a puff of smoke"? Or did life simply pause, ready to hit play again when Phoebe returns? And what happens if Phoebe is stuck in the past forever? In the dark, breezy bed by the window, Phoebe sometimes played this out in her mind. She imagined growing up in the yurt and eventually starting a family of her own. And one day, it will once again be September 2025 when all this started. She could make her way back to Perivale and grab her 11-year-old self by the hand and say, "Phoebe, it's me, you, whatever you do, stay in bed. Don't ever, ever climb into that locker." But surely she can't have to wait 30 years to solve this. She couldn't bear to miss her mum for decades. She just needed to find the locker she flew in on and fly right back again. That's what planes do. They go to Spain and then they fly right back to England. Phoebe realised Miss Parsley's lips were moving. She tuned in to catch a few words, but it was like walking into a movie when the credits roll. "You weren't listening to a word I said, were you?" Miss Parsley said. Phoebe shook her head. "Sorry, I was thinking about something else," she said quite truthfully. Miss Parsley sat back in her chair and took her glasses off. "What were you thinking about?" she asked. "Be honest." "Quiche," said Phoebe. Miss Parsley laughed. "Well, better than the time travel nonsense, I suppose. Listen, Phoebe, the reason I brought you here is to talk about your behaviour. Miss Campbell said that you were very distracted today in home ec. Of course, Miss Perivale told me about the greenhouse and that you've been given your first yard of grass. I'm sorry to hear that we're still using that awful punishment." Phoebe nodded. "Yes, it was an accident. I'm not very good at lacrosse." Miss Parsley pushed a sheet of paper across the table. "Indeed. Perhaps you would get into less trouble if you were busy. This is a list of after-school clubs. We encourage all girls to join at least one club." Phoebe looked down the list. Photography, book club, sewing, knitting, woodwork. "Is there anything to do with physics or astronomy?" Miss Parsley shook her head. "No, not until you get to year 10. For now, we try to focus on the important subjects like running a home and preparing for the world of work." "Well, physics is a job, isn't it? Or I could be an astronomer," Phoebe said. "Well, the most common work for Perivale girls is secretarial work, but I'm sure we get the odd psychic or astrologer. I'm a Pisces, but I'm not sure why I believe in all that. What about woodwork?" Miss Parsley asked. "You like making a quiche? Perhaps you would enjoy making a box for it to go in." "A quiche box?" Phoebe asked. "Is that what they make?" "Well, they make boxes for all sorts of things. Jewellery, normally. Hair clips, bits and bobs, you know." Phoebe sat forward, eyes wide. "Could I make a big box?" she asked. She jumped up from her seat and thrust her hand above her head. "Could I make one this tall and this wide, big enough for a girl of, say, 10 to 12 years old?" Miss Parsley's mouth turned down at the sides as if she had seen one of Phoebe's meringues. "Whatever for?" she asked. Phoebe thought fast. "My lacrosse stick." "Ah, I see. Perhaps you could. Let's get you signed up for woodwork on Tuesday evenings, and you can speak to Miss Valetti about your lacrosse box. If not, you could make a little one for quiche." Phoebe practically tap-danced out of the office. She may have lost the Locker of Destiny, but nothing was to say she couldn't build a new one.